I'm going to talk about incentive programs for closure of grade crossing in the United States. My presentation is really going to be about, it's a synthesis of what other states are doing. Grade crossing is a big issue here in the US, and I'm going to show you some statistics to show why it is a problem. As of 2014, the number of grade crossings around was just about 250,000, and you can see the breakdown as shown. For those of you not very familiar, grade crossings are where you have railroad tracks crossing a roadway. So when they are on the same level, we tend to call it at grade. And if they are separated by grade, where you have the tracks going above the roadway or under, then those are the grades separated. When the roadway is a public roadway, we tend to call it a public at grade. And where you have the roadway being a private or privately maintained, then that is a private at grade. Where you have the roadway close to vehicular traffic or can be accessed by pedestrians, you have the pedestrian at grade. So overall, you can see we've got about 85% at grades, and remaining being grade separated. Now the issue is (95% of all incidents occur at grade crossings. So as you can see, we have about 85% of our crossings being at grade, and 95% of all incidents occur there. In 2017 alone, you can see some of the figures. We had 2,105 collisions, resulting in 807 injuries and 274 fatalities. Now, if you look back, these figures haven't really improved much. It's still probably around the same sort of figures. So it is an issue. And out of all these, 15 states alone contribute to 68% of all these fatalities. So even though we're looking nationwide, only 15 states have a lot of incidents happening. Louisiana happens to be among the top 15 states. Actually, we are number 12. We used to be higher, but now we dropped to number 12. And for last year, we had 8 fatalities. So the FRA, as the Federal Railroad Administration, in its effort to improve safety, mandated these top states with a high level of incidents to develop a state action plan. So this has actually been mandated, and Louisiana is part of it. So this has been reflected in our most recent transportation plan, and it is something that we have to do something about it to improve safety. This project actually came about from a problem statement that was submitted by the Deputy Secretary of DOT. So what we looked at is some of the solutions out there to improve safety, and you can see those listed: grade separations, active alarms, in-vehicle alarms, providing improvements, making visibility improvements. And the last two involves actually closing off the roadways that has the crossing on it. So as you can see, I mean, you can't go to communities and start closing off roads. That is going to be a big problem. So what the FRA does is it provides incentives for communities who want to undertake this closure. So you can see we got cash, track relocation, nearby road improvement, nearby crossing improvement, nearby crossing grade separation, and quiet zone establishment. Of course, I can spend some time to explain all of that, but I'm happy to talk to you after this. So, as FRA says, the safest grade crossing is one that does not exist. Because if it doesn't exist, then you don't have any incident happening. So they've been working with state DOTs since 2008 to close as many as they can. And so far, they've closed by 18,000 since they began. Louisiana, we thought we were going to do a survey as part of this project to see how states are getting around this, how they getting communities to agree to close off these roadways. So what we wanted to find out is what are the incentive programs out there and how effective are they? So we did this in two ways. We first of all went on the public websites of the state DOTs and the railroad agencies, and we tried to see what information we can find out there. Of course, you're not going to get much information on there. But what we did was we were able to identify key contacts in each state. We did contact for every state, we had one representative at least. And we contacted a whole lot of railroad agency experts in all the states as well. We asked them very simple questions, and what we wanted to find out was whether the state administers any incentive programs. If they do, which types do they have? How long has it been in effect? And how effective is it? Again, we did ask them for them to give us their own qualitative view of whether it's effective or not. So, for I think 2 states, we got 2 people in there. Basically, we were able to get a contact for every state's DOT. For the railroad company experts, we were able to get multiple. And overall, we only got 60 responses, which wasn't overly impressive considering what you two did. But we struggled to actually get them to respond. We did not receive any response from them in the States, and those are the ones colored red. So as much as we tried knocking, we never got any response from them. So if you happen to be one from one of these states, please talk to me after that. 39 states responded. Out of that 39 that responded, 22 said they had no incentive programs. So they didn't just offer, they were looking at other methods. The community, they talk to the community, they just don't offer incentives. 17 responded to say, yes, they do offer some sort of incentive programs. Of course, in Louisiana, we don't offer either. So, when we ask them about what kind of incentives they offer, none of them actually mentioned one thing. It's always a combination of various incentives. 15 out of 17 said they do offer cash incentives. 7 offer nearby road improvement, which is basically developing nearby roads, expanding, maintaining, increasing number of lanes. 6 said they do have nearby crossing grade separation. Now, those who did the crossing grade separation did this ages ago. They're no longer able to do that because it's very expensive. 12 do have nearby crossing improvements. Louisiana should not be right there. That was a mistake because we did not actually, we don't have an incentive program yet. But 12 states do have nearby crossing improvement. And then 4 do have track relocation programs. Again, those who do offer track relocation programs said they've done this ages ago. They're no longer able to do it. So this is just a summary of all that I've just presented. So as you can see, the cash incentives prove to be the most popular. Cash incentives, basically FRA gives some funding to the state works with the communities, give them this cash to gear towards any other improvement or whatever related projects that we want to do. Track relocation was rarely used, with the others drilling in between. So when we asked the states how effective they think it was, this is their personal, the way they ranked it. All right, so they saw track relocation, which is the least used, as the most effective. And the cash incentive, which is more popular, was seen to be rather the least effective. Those other two states, Utah, Ohio, and Illinois, they also offer some other incentives. I wouldn't say really incentives, but for Utah, whenever they receive a request for a new crossing, they try and close off two. So we have to work with the railroad companies to be able to achieve that. So what we did again was, I decided that rather than look at what the states are telling us about how effective they are, we did a ratio of the closed crossings to the number of crossings in each state. So we just wanted to see for each state, what's the proportion of crossings that have been closed. And then based on the answers that we received, we were able to classify those to those who offer no cash incentive at all. You can see that for those who don't offer any incentives, you've got about 35% closure. So the rates there are quite close, but the number of crosses are a lot. So it does still make a difference. So again, for cash incentive only, which the states think wasn't very effective, you can see that was 39.1%. And then the track relocation, which is what they said, proved to be most effective. We found that to be 42.6 when you take out the cash incentives. Mostly answered track relocation with something else. So again, that really proved or confirmed what the states were saying. This is a bit difficult to see. The map is already been improved, but I don't have the updated one here. This is showing all the states and showing their closure rates. Louisiana, we're not doing too bad, 45.9 closure. So even though we are ranked among the top 15, we've done quite a pretty good job of actually closing off some of our roads and grade crossings. So to conclude, the grade crossing closure or consolidation is good because what it does is once you close off, you don't have to maintain the roadway again. The Federal Railway Authority actually doesn't mandate the railroad companies to undertake all those maintenance. But again, when you go drive around and you see some are not in very good shape, especially for those that are not actively used. Again, you're going to improve safety when you close it. The problem is trying to get residents to agree. And also, they have this perception that it may reduce accessibility. That's not always true because sometimes you'll find grade crossings in very remote areas where nobody hardly uses them. So the cash incentives proved to be the least effective, but very popular. I said there's a federal grant that provides DOTs with cash incentives. This is not much though. And we had this discussion at CRB, and we had some, very, I would say, heated discussion because we had some of the federal authorities there who tried to say that the cash that we were offering was enough. And we have state representatives there who thought it wasn't going to get anywhere at all. Purely because locals put a very high value on the assets. So before they agreed to the closure, they wanted to see a substantial amount of money. There was one person that said he offered so a ridiculous amount of money and the community will still not accept it. They wouldn't even do it. The track relocation program proved to be the most effective, but as we saw, it's rarely utilized, and the reason for that is because it's very expensive to do. What we're doing now is we are looking at a model which will help decide or prioritize which crossings need to be closed. So we collecting various characteristics of our crossings, and we're trying to use neural network to help us define or come to some sort of arrive at some sort of model that will help us decide, which of the open crossings have safety issues and need to be closed. So thank you, and I'll take any questions you have now.